He always believed freedom was found in running away. From rules, from people, from anything that demanded that he stay. His name was Arlen, though few ever said it with warmth. He grew up in a small house filled with loud clocks and quiet resentment. His father believed discipline was love. His mother believed silence was peace. Arlen believed neither. He used to sit by the window at night, watching the world move, cars, lights, the distant sound of laughter. He promised himself he'd never be trapped like them, never chained to duty, to family, to routine. He would live wild, he said. Free. The first chance he got, he ran. He didn't look back. At 18, he left behind his parents, his town, his name, moved through cities like a whisper, never staying long enough to be remembered. He slept in train stations, on beaches, in strangers' apartments that smelled of incense and rebellion. Everywhere he went, he told the same story. I'm searching for something real. But he never said what real meant. Freedom became his god. Rules became his enemies. He worked odd jobs just long enough to fund his next escape. Barista, mechanic, waiter, musician, collecting experiences the way others collected promises. For years, it felt good. The wind on his face, the thrill of uncertainty, the illusion of control. Until one winter, he met a woman named Leora. She was nothing like him, calm where he was restless, steady where he was smoke. She painted walls for a living, but every stroke felt like prayer. She didn't talk much, but when she did, her words carried the quiet weight of someone who'd already been where he was running. He stayed longer than usual. A few weeks turned into months. Her world was small, a single-room apartment filled with plants, sunlight, and the faint hum of an old record player. But it was the first place that didn't make him want to leave. She once asked him, "What are you chasing, Arlen?" He smiled. "Freedom." She paused, looked at him as if through him, and said, "Freedom from what?" He laughed, but something inside him trembled. She loved him, though she never tried to hold him. She understood that you can't cage a man who fears stillness more than loss. But one morning, he woke before dawn, saw her sleeping beside him peaceful, untouched by the noise of the world, and the old fear returned. The walls felt too close, the air too heavy. The idea of permanence unbearable. He left before sunrise. No note, no goodbye. Just the sound of the door closing like a confession. For the next decade, he kept running. New countries, new faces, new escapes. But every time he tried to taste freedom, it felt thinner, like chasing smoke with empty lungs. He drank to forget, worked to survive, loved to feel alive, but nothing stayed. One evening, in a nameless city by the sea, he found himself surrounded by laughter. Strangers dancing, clinking glasses, singing songs they didn't know the meaning of. He watched them and realized they weren't free, but they were connected, anchored to something he could no longer touch. And in that moment, it hit him he had become the very thing he once ran from, a man imprisoned by his own idea of freedom. He remembered Leora's voice. Freedom from what? He didn't have an answer then, but now he did. Freedom from love, freedom from belonging, freedom from anything that could teach him who he was. He sat on the edge of the dock, the salt wind cold on his face, and for the first time in years he didn't move. He let the silence in. In that stillness, memories came not of the places he'd been, but of the moments he'd left unfinished. His father's calloused hands, his mother's quiet tears, Leora's sleeping face, all the cages he'd broken, all the hearts he'd escaped, and yet he was the only one who never found the door. Days passed. He began writing letters to no one in particular. Words, spilling like rain. I thought freedom was running. But maybe it's staying. Maybe it's choosing the same sunrise twice. He sent none of them. But writing became his way home. Years later, when his hair had turned to silver, he returned to the town he'd fled. The clocks were still ticking, the streets still narrow. But it no longer looked like a prison, just a place he never understood. He found out his parents were gone. Their house was empty, but in the dust he could still see traces of their love, clumsy, quiet, unspoken. He walked to the lake where he once dreamed of escape and sat there until the stars came. The night didn't feel endless anymore. It felt enough. He thought of Leora, wondered if she ever forgave him, or if she even remembered. Somewhere, he hoped she found someone who stayed. Arlen finally understood. It wasn't rules that had trapped him. It was fear. The fear of being known, of being needed, of being still. Freedom wasn't the absence of walls. It was peace within them. And as he watched the reflection of the moon ripple across the lake, he smiled, the kind of smile that doesn't reach the lips, only the soul. He had broken every rule to find freedom, only to realize the cage was never outside him. It was within, and in that quiet recognition, he was finally free.